Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the City of Fayetteville Mental Health Advisory Board, want to welcome and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Councilwoman Dr. Naya Glover and the Chair of the Mental Health Advisory Board. Joining me also, we have the Vice Chair, Ms. Tracy Ritz. Thanks for joining tonight. So tonight we're focusing on self-awareness. Tonight's our focus is a simple but huge impact on everyone's lives. When we understand what we're thinking and feeling and how it's actually happening to us, we make better decisions, we manage stress earlier as well as easier, and choose healthier coping skills in the process. This applies to all of us, children, teens, working adults, caregivers, as well as older adults. So tonight's our practical goal would be to give you short, doable tools that you can utilize and implement in today's life. So let's start by going into the understanding of what actually is self-awareness. Building those skills of noticing your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors as they happen. Understanding the why behind the reactions and the choices that we make in lieu of those situations. So what we're looking at, the working definition, however, for self-awareness, this is the capacity to observe inner experiences, our thoughts, our emotions, body cues, and their impacts on our behavior. So there are two layers to understanding self-awareness, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight, right? So the internal layer, which is our self-insight, this is what we want to focus on. And then also the external, how our behaviors impact us, as well as how other experiences impact us. Most people develop one or neglect the other. So what we're going to focus on is how do we close that gap in building self-awareness? So we're going to talk about briefly using the signal story selection loop, right? To bridge that gap or close that gap. Notice the signal, challenging our story, or sometimes those cognitive or dysfunctional thought processes that lead us to making unfavorable decisions so that we can choose better and have favorable outcome. So key ingredients that we're going to talk about in focusing on building self-awareness would be curiosity over, let's say, criticism, looking at things in a more favorable manner, naming instead of numbing situations, and noticing patterns over time. As we do our self assessment or self inventory, we start fostering better behavior patterns so that we can start navigating life in a more positive way. So, clarifying is important to building awareness. In some cases, it's not overthinking or perfectionism, it's just simply gaining insight to ourself. So, for example, if we're looking at gaining self awareness, we're noticing, for example, a tight chest before a tough conversation and labeling it as anxiety rather than we're just having challenges with difficulty and conflict. So, it's about how you're looking at this situation that you're presented with at that particular time. The good thing about it is, building self-awareness is a learnable capacity that can span across all ages. We challenge each other when we engage each other, so therefore our experiences changes over time. So as we age, we should still do updates and self-inventory so that we can improve ourselves over time. So why does it actually matter? Why does self-awareness matter? Because those are the core drivers of mental well-being, growth, as well as resilience. It improves our relationships in the workplace as well as in our home lives. It builds learning, fostering better and improving learning as we get older, as well as health outcomes. So we're going to talk about a little those things too when we're presented with challenges and how they impact us on a daily basis with our mental, but our physical health as well. Many overestimate their self-awareness. So, we're going to provide you all with some favorable practices so that you can close that gap that we previously talked about. So, better choices are made. That's why gaining self-awareness is so important. Fostering emotional regulation to build upon emotional resilience later. And again, in the areas of relationships, be it our personal relationships or work relationships, it helps us to understand our impact and improve empathy and repair over time as well. So let's continue on to connect emotions to decision making. I often tell my clients to work on fostering a more solution-based approach instead of an emotionally based approach. And that helps when it comes to fostering a healthy dynamics when it's time to solve problems through stress management and building those healthy coping mechanisms. Ms. Fritz, do you have anything to add here, or would you like me to continue on?
You can continue on. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. So, from emotions to better decisions, name it to tame it. Feelings reduces their intensity when we are understanding what we're going through at that particular time. Self-awareness creates that pause opportunity between triggers and responses, right? So we want to be able to foster that opportunity between triggering an emotion that is presented to us and rationalizing through that actual situation. So emotions triggers that signal to the body. We're starting to feel that emotion and it carries that data. We start to appraise that situation. So we're going to either categorize it into three different situations: values, needs, or threat. Typically, stress is something that is induced from the lack of resources to solve that problem. So, how we actually label that particular situation is going to trigger that response, right? So, what we want to do is learn the three steps to micro pause. So, it's name it, normalize it, and choose a better outcome. That approach helps you to foster or induce that pause so that you're not triggering the fight flight response. So, a cognitive check, when we're looking at changing our cognitive reframing, we're looking at how do we better assess this on a cognitive level. So, challenging our thought processes help with cognitive distortions and cognitive dysregulations, right? So, we're looking at what else could be true based off this situation that we're actually being presented with to reduce the all or nothing frame of thinking as well. So, that falls under cognitive distortions. So, we're challenging our thought process in the process of that situation. That helps build self awareness as well. It leads to wiser choices in the home, school, as well as in work. If we align it also with one of those values that we have in our life, then we can ask ourselves different type reflective type questions, shall I say. What choice reflects what I want to be in 3 months? So with this particular situation and my response to this situation be favorable in 3 months? Will I like who I am after 3 months of this actual decision? So, transitioning on to self awareness and stress, how does awareness change our stress response? Right? So, we're changing from that fight flight response and building more favorable outcomes. So it acts sort of like an early beacon system for you, right? So it helps you to trigger positive responses instead of those negative responses. So in order to build self-awareness, you want to be able to spot those personal triggers, bodily responses, thoughts, and things of that nature plays a vital role. So we use what we call the stress triangle, right? Stress triggers or identifying that trigger in that situation and how we actually appraise it. Again, are we looking at it as a value or a threat in some way? And how are we handling this situation at that time will actually induce our actual response. Now, if your response is typically one that transition to something that is more unfavorable, this could be a conditioned response in your life over time. So sometimes we have to unpack our unfavorable responses in situations to learn new coping mechanisms. And we'll continue to talk about those as we move on. But awareness, the importance of awareness interrupts our automatic responses, that fight, flight, freeze, please response, right? So some of our earlier childhood learning or things that we were taught as we grew up needs to actually change. So it's becoming self-aware that those old ways of responding to situations are not favorable at this level of your life. Again, as we continue to age, we supposed to change those things, right? So unpacking those earlier responses and replacing them with more newer ones and tracking your stress management as you get older is a way to actually do that. It helps us to gain insight. The goal is to gain insight to promote better self-awareness. So how do we lower our anxiety, some practical responses or practical moves that you can actually use today. In today's situation is one of my favorite when I'm working with my clients when they're dealing with anxiety, depression, or just typical life stressors is mindfulness. Mindfulness falls up under that cognitive response, right? Brief mindful breaks when you're noticing that you're having some sort of challenges in your life and you're starting to identify with those challenges of everyday life, you want to take a mindful break, step back from the situation and ensure that you are responding to that situation in a more cognitive or rational approach instead of a more emotionally based approach, right? So lowering anxiety and rumination falls up under this cognitive approach. When we're looking in in a clinical arena, anxiety is linked to the present point, right? So this is how I navigate my clients. If I do the PHQ-9 scale, which is looking at depressive type symptoms, and the GAD-7 scale is looking at anxiety, then I know where to start in that client's particular lifespan, right? So anxiety is more present to future. So when I'm looking in that particular area, I know how to better guide my clients to a better outcome in their actual life. But if we're looking at rumination, that ruminative type of behavior, then you're looking behind you. And they can particularly lead to some depressive type symptoms. Now, on the mental health web, or the mental health hub, we actually have these two assessments there for you all. They're not diagnosing tools, but it's a way for you to kind of gauge where you are in your life. So anxiety will be one that feels that they are out of control of their current situations. They have current stressors. And in order to actually better navigate stress management, building self-awareness, you definitely need to align those tools with what you're actually going through at that particular moment. Other practical moves that you can make with, lowering anxiety and building self-awareness would be breathing techniques and things of that nature as well. So the slow exhale breathing is actually a great tool as well. So again, a lot of these great techniques are on the mental health hub that we actually have. If you go there and look for some of these great tools to start implementing in your life, it's great to start observing how you're going through stressors so that you can actually start moving towards your self-awareness journey. Be very gracious with yourself, I like to say, and patient, and do not judge. And start to learn to let those negative thoughts pass, as we say, like clouds, and then start building on positive ways to kind of navigate throughout your life. Miss Ritz, do you have anything to add here?
No, everything is very well explained.
Okay, thank you so much. So some additional grounding tools that we like to use as well when we're reducing anxiety would be the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is where you're engaging in your bodily responses to stress. So engaging senses to return to your present state. Also stimulus control, so set tech boundaries as well. If you're feeling overwhelmed in your actual life, you can set a tech boundary where you're not taking in calls for a block of time. So, for example, a do not disturb for 30 minutes so that you can have this mindful break that is actually good to reduce triggers in your life. But again, getting in contact with yourself physically is also important. That mind body connection ensures that you're moving towards that self awareness dynamics. Other minimum effective doses that you can implement would be one small action. It could be something as small as taking a 5-minute walk, drinking water, or tidying up an area in your house, right? So some of those positive type of distractions in your life. Decluttering projects within the home helps with external focus as well as building mental stability. By reducing clutter, we found in your home, it actually helps improve your environment, becomes easier to navigate, which can also improve the day-to-day focus and support mental well-being. So, in essence, skills actually stick when built upon insight of yourself. So, let's connect some self-coping strategies as we continue to build self-knowledge. So, healthy coping built on insight. Awareness reveals patterns behind urges and habits. It replaces unhealthy coping. as well. So the goal is to replace these unhealthy coping, such as avoidance, excessive use of screen time, and replace them with more constructive type options, right? Some great tools would be like the Calm app, things of that nature when you're starting to feel yourself feeling a little bit overwhelmed in your actual life. So identifying that you're in a stressful state is important. And over the last 8 months, we have in this on this board, we've been talking about a lot of great things. And now this is just kind of taking you on an 8 month journey currently to building self-awareness. So we're tying everything in now so that you can start fostering these actual skills and implementing them in your everyday life. So typically that's the overall goal, right? So the important thing is gaining this insight so that you can fit the tools to your actual current trigger or life stressor. So matching coping to what you actually notice. So for example, if you're feeling tension in your body and you're one that gets tense physically when you're presented with a stressor, then you want to connect a body tool. Ruminating, we just talked about that's kind of looking behind you, unresolved past challenges. Then you want to implement some type of cognitive tool like the mindfulness, reflective journaling to kind of help get it out. Also, if you're seeing yourself going through social challenges such as isolation, you want to actually implement social tools, things that can get you socially engaged, such as your local government, right? So looking into those different types of things that we have going on in Fayetteville will be awesome. There's always great things that you can do socially and engage with your actual population and citizens that are around you. So looking into those different types of social events are always actually great. So prevent from focusing on quick relief and focus more on deeper repair. That's what's important, taking those deep dives into ourselves so that we can foster longevity in our self-awareness instead of that quick relief. Avoid pseudo coping, such as behaviors that numb, but does not solve the problem. So the goal of self-awareness is fostering alternatives, building positive coping skills, but also through the navigation or through the corridor of being a problem solver, right? So you want to be more solution based in your situations so that you can foster longevity. You can track your outcome. Did this particular method that you implemented, did it last for 10 minutes, 10 hours, or 10 days? What this will inform you is your elasticity. How did you bounce back from this situation? If it took a long time, we may need to couple your techniques with multiple things, or you may need to change if you notice that the elasticity or your bounce back from that challenge was not favorable to you. So now we can learn, we're going to talk about three different techniques that you can actually implement in any area. So technique number one, we talked about previously mindfulness, and if you're noticing a pattern, if you coming to these lectures or these webinars on a consistent basis, mindfulness is always at the top, right, of this actual approach that we're implementing because we want to foster mindfulness in everything we do. But the mind-body connection is important to building awareness, right? So you can do some micro practices such as breathing, body scans, mindful listening. So there are a lot of great audios that are on our hub as well that you can use in times of stress. And noticing in that process those physical cues to start indicating when you're actually stressed so that you can partner those tools effectively. Anchor your attention to the present. So even if you create some type of mantra, right, that will actually help you stay anchored to the present time, especially if you're going through rumination, to help reset gently when you're implementing those positive distractions or when you're trying to stay distracted in a positive way. Ms. Ritz, do you have anything to implement to add here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No problem. So the purpose here then of mindfulness is to train your attention to stay present, stay in the present moment, experience without judgment. Again, the bodily scan is connecting that mind-body dynamics. So moving attention from your head to your toes. Another great tool is the progressive relaxation tool. When you're actually stressed, that helps with moving, stress from head to actual toe, helping you to remove yourself from that challenging situation so that you can navigate more effectively, but helps you to label senses as well. So we have like a three-phase that we utilize and we guide clients to use, which would be the warm, tight, and neutral approach so that you can get familiar with yourself, but also your bodily responses when you're actually being challenged. So you can also capture, as I previously highlighted, some of your challenges through writing, right? Journaling helps with the cognitive component as well, fostering that cognitive component so that you can actually release. The goal is to, let's say, positively release those challenges or stressors that you're going through as well. If done incorrectly, then we're just going to say that's more so suppressing that situation and they actually return. All right. So through journaling, it helps you to release and reflect. Weekly updates and, positive reflection helps you to spot those triggers and start noticing progress. Positive reinforcement is great. Once you start noticing how well you're actually doing, that's always a great reinforcement. And then again, getting that feedback from other individuals that you actually trust helps with this process as well. So fostering feedback will be something we talk about on the next slide. So thought reframing here when it comes to journaling and reflection is you going through that process of identifying cognitive distortions. So those unhealthy thinking patterns and writing alternative thoughts. That's you now fostering positive or healthy coping mechanisms because you're challenging yourself into a more positive way. In some cases, when we are presented with stressors, we kind of respond very quickly, right? If you haven't gone down this self-awareness journey, you respond very quickly. Depending on where you are in your journey, you may start to see that you're doing well and you're responding in a more positive way. But if you're still seeing that you're using old conditioned approaches, then we need to continue to move forward and start fostering more positive alternatives through thought processing, which would be journaling and reflection. Gratitude also plays a role in journaling. So it's not about just talking about the negative things that are going on, but showing yourself grace through gratitude journaling as well. So finding one thing that you're grateful for and one thing that you learned about yourself on today or the next day after, right? So kind of continuously going through that cognitive rebuilding or reframing, or just that cognitive journey of repair. Pattern spotting is also a part of journaling and reflection. So this helps me as a mental health clinician, as well as my client that I'm working with, spot those unhealthy patterns, but also spot those positive patterns that we can capitalize on and ground our clients through. So reviewing weekly to find triggers and effective responses is a positive approach to journaling as well. But as we continue to build awareness, it also fosters growth. So that growth mindset as we kind of move forward. And it also important to actually gain some feedback and support in your environment. So invite kind, honest feedback to uncover blind spots that you yourself may not see. Therapy provides a guided mirror for patterns and change as well. So when we're looking here, we're looking at the external awareness, right? We talked about internal before. So we're looking at external awareness and fostering it there. Ask trusted people how your behavior lands with them. Some people may perceive you differently than what you're perceiving yourself. So we use the SBI approach here or model, where it's a situation, behavior, and impact. Right, so you can talk to someone that you may be in conflict with. How did my reaction, response, or that conversation, or even that meeting, how did that land with you if you're truly trying to foster self-awareness through accountability? more specifically. So building support maps are important. Who helps with calm, clarity, and again, building accountability. Boundaries are important. So setting those healthy boundaries, but feedback should be looked at as data, right? Not a verdict, not criticism, but it's a way to start learning yourself in a more deeper approach. Again, not that quick repair, but that deeper repair. So learning yourself in a deeper manner. But the good thing about feedback is it's your choice. It's literally your choice to choose what you want to actually integrate at that particular time. Engagement. Who's one person, if you're thinking right now and you're feeling a little overwhelmed and challenged, who is that one person you can invite for gentle, specific feedback on your self awareness journey? Finding that individual will be vital to building self awareness, managing stress, and fostering healthier coping skills. So, benefits of gaining self awareness again looks a little different as we age, though, because challenges and problems change as we age. So, Ms. Ritz will kind of take us into understanding the breakdown as we age on the next slide of benefits for youth and teens.
Now, here are the benefits for youth and teens: identity, clearer values, strengths, and needs. So, this is so vital for youth as they're transitioning, from childhood to youth. And also that self control, a pause button before reacting. I always say pause for the cause. Also, resilience. They have better coping skills with school, their peers, and with that change that's taking place. So, as a parent, it's very vital that we pay attention to these areas as they're transitioning. And we can go to the next one. Now, here are benefits for adults and older people: adult stress management, relationship quality, and work performance. I found that, as we begin to transition with age, that our relationships, the needs that we have for those relationships, they often change. So don't be afraid to vocalize what you need once you become aware that your needs are changing. And also with our work performance. I know for me that as our children begin to transition to young adulthood and I'm aging, that I can do more, towards working my goals. I can stay longer hours. So these are things we need to think about as we're transitioning to adulthood, that, maybe you were stressed before on the job, but now you can kind of, let some of the stressors go as far as with the family and things like that. So know that stress management, our relationship quality, and our work performance are major factors, concerning whether we can reduce our stress or not. I'll say it that way. And as older adults, gratitude is vital. I know for me, the older that I'm becoming, I don't stress so much over things I did in my youthful years. Of course, I'm still young, but as I'm transitioning, I'm more grateful for life, instead of stressing over, things I cannot control. I've learned to surrender them. First of all, I'm thanking God for just being alive. So many people, they don't have the opportunity that we have to have a healthy lifestyle. And if you don't have a healthy lifestyle just yet, be grateful that you're here. Also, my perspective on life has changed tremendously as I began to age. I don't say I have to cook dinner, I get to cook dinner for my family. And also cognitive engagements, having friends and people around us and things that we're doing to help reduce our stress level. Know that at every age, clearer heads are what I'm sorry, clearer needs are better, and with our boundaries and with our choices. So make sure that we know, our healthy boundaries, what needs we have, and being able to vocalize those needs are so vital. I know when I was younger, I would stress out over things that was out of my control, and I didn't share with my family what I needed from them. So as we're transitioning with our age, becoming older, don't be afraid to speak out and say what you need from family members, from those around you. Don't be afraid of creating those healthy boundaries. You can decide that you want to do this. Also, let's go to the next slide. We have resources. So if you're, self-aware tonight and you know that you need help, once again, don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out for that advice, for help, for that support. Asking for those tips, coming to the mental health hub for assistance and also guidance. I truly believe in a strong support system. I'm the type of person, even being a therapist, I believe in having a support group, other therapists in my life. I thank God for Dr. Glover and those who I can bounce back on. And, even I believe in group therapy. I love group therapy. I have a group that I'm a part of that we come together bi-weekly to just discuss those issues that maybe we can't share with other people in a safe space. So I truly believe in having a support system, someone in a group, also, or just someone that you can call on that will give you proper, healthy information. I'm going to say proper and healthy because some people we call on, negative Nancy can't give you that support when you're stressing, or Debbie Dowd, someone that can help pull you through maybe on those days when you're feeling like, oh God, can I do this? So I do strongly encourage you guys to reach back to a support group, look for help, of course, with our mental health advisory board with the city of Fayetteville. We have so many resources that's available for you guys: the tips, the advice, the assistance, and that divine guidance. I believe in that guidance strongly. Next slide. Now, here's some stress management and mental health resources that we have available. Of course, we've mentioned it several times. The City of Fayetteville Mental Health Hub. We provide tools and resources to support mental health and well-being. And of course, we have listed our website. Also, Behavioral Health Associates of Georgia. They offer individual counseling, family therapy, and stress management services. And we also have listed their website. Then we have Fayette County Counseling Center. They provide mental health outpatient services, including individual counseling and case management. You can also visit their website. And then Fayette Care Clinic. They offer free mental health services to uninsured residents of Fayette County. So if you're not insured at this time, this is a great resource. We also have their website listed. And then we have Georgia Crisis and Access Line, 24/7 crisis support. You can call 1-800-715-4225. And their website is also available. So never be afraid to reach out. I know a lot of times people, especially the older population, were taught that, seeking help is a sign of weakness, but actually it is a sign of strength, knowing that you cannot do it alone and you don't have to do it alone. And I would like to share this with all of us. It's okay not to be okay, but it's just not okay for us to stay that way. So if you realize that you're stressing out, please use any of these resources and seek the help that you might need. Let's keep going. Now, here's some food assistance. A lot of times people are stressed out because they are like, oh God, all these bills. And especially if you have a large family or a family. And I know a lot of people are experiencing some layoffs right now. But here's some food assistance programs. Fed Samaritans, they provide food, clothing, and emergency financial assistance. We also have their website listed. And then we have Real Life Center. They offer a mobile food pantry and other support services. Their website is also listed. And then Georgia SNAP program assists low-income households with monthly benefits to purchase food. Their website is listed. And then Find Help. And also we have listed their website. So please don't be afraid to reach out and get the help that you need, because if you're stressing over finances, maybe you don't have the food, or maybe you're just saying, hey, I just need someone I can talk to about where I am in my life right now. Do not be afraid to reach out. Let's keep going. Now, here's some educational support. We have Fayette County Public Schools, which provides special education services and resources for students with disabilities. We have their website listed. Joseph Sam School. They offer programs for children with special needs, including speech and occupational therapy. We have listed their website. Also, we have AV Pride After School Enrichment Program. They provide K through 5 students with academic support and enrichment activities. And I know a lot of times with parents, when they have smaller kids, that can be very stressful. They need academic support. Maybe you're not able to do that. I know for me, the way they're teaching children now is kind of different from my school days. So it's good to reach out to these resources if you have children or grandchildren that you're stressing about because they're coming home maybe with homework and things that maybe you don't quite understand. Or if you do understand it, maybe you just don't have the time to deal with that. So reach out to some of these educational support groups. And I'm telling you guys, you'll be amazed at all of the help that's available out here right now. We can continue on. Now, here's some housing support. I've had a lot of our clients that's saying that they need to, maybe downsize now. Maybe if you've had some financial challenges and you're saying, I need some housing support, here's some great resources. We have Fayette Factors Operation Help. They assist families with housing and utility payments to prevent homelessness. We also list their website. We have Georgia Housing Choice Voucher Program. They provide rental assistance to low income families, the elderly, and the disabled. Also, we have Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. They help low income households with their home energy bill. And we have all of these websites listed. Let's continue on. Now, for financial assistance, we have once again Fed Factor. They provide emergency financial services, including rent, mortgage, and utility services. We have Georgia Rental Assistance Program. They offer up to 18 months of payment relief for eligible applicants. Also, St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia. They assist with financial aid. Contact their assisted line at 678-892-6163. Then dial 9211. This connects you to local financial assistance programs, including help with rent, utilities, and more. We also have all of their websites listed. Let's continue on. Now, here are some community resources and next steps. Fayetteville Mental Health Advisory Board. We have local, of course, webinars, workshops, and mental health hub for tools and resources. Try a 2-week awareness sprint. Daily 5 minutes practice and journal. And I absolutely love journaling. And combine that with the gratitude. Oh my God, you'll be surprised at the results that you'll receive in a short period of time. You know, I always share with my clients, gratitude definitely changes our whole attitude. So also, if you need more support, call or text 988. That's a 24/7 suicide and crisis lifeline. I know that suicide, oh my God, I'm just saying it has been an all-time high as far as suicide attacking, especially our youth. So if you have someone in your household that's, you see symptoms of them changing in their behavior, don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out. And if you're having suicidal thoughts, I know several people have shared with me recently about those suicidal thoughts. Don't play around with those as well. So let's look out for each other, help each other. We have children or either, someone you care about in your life and you know that they are, experiencing any of those symptoms that's causing them to be overwhelmed and stressed out. Don't be afraid to reach out for them. If of course you can't force anybody, but reach out and maybe some of us can reach out to them. So these are some community resources and next steps that we can take. Next slide. Now, from the Mental Health Advisory Board, we want to thank you for your commitment to your mental health and community well-being. And Councilwoman Dr. Naya Glover may be reached at nglover@fayettevillegeorgia.gov. And you guys, she is amazing as far as the help that she's given to this community. I just absolutely love the way that she's very approachable for those who are fearful of counseling and seeking help. And also there's a direct link there for Fayetteville, Georgia .mentalhealthhub.org. So please don't be afraid to reach out. We're all very, accessible, and we're here for you guys. I love being a part of this board because of the fact that I haven't seen many cities. I don't know any other city that's been as proactive as Fayetteville, Georgia. And I thank Dr. Glover for her vision. And y'all, I'm telling you, you have no reason, anybody that's connected to us, not to be able to reach out. We have the resources and we also have the credentials to meet your needs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ritz. I want to give you all some additional updates. And again, it's great to work alongside of Ms. Ritz as well. Great information and just a great approachable person as well. So some updates that we have for the Mental Health Advisory Board. We want for you all to continue to connect with us. We have our September 2nd Mental Health Advisory Board meeting is open to the public. It's on, again, September 2nd at 5:30. Also, we have a mental health awareness golf tournament coming up September 16th. You can go on the Facebook page for the city of Fayetteville to get information there if you want to take part in that. Also, again, our monthly webinar will be September 30th at 6 p.m. And then lastly, our October 28th mental health awareness webinar will actually be live streamed. So it will be, we're still kind of hammering down the location, but you all will be welcome. So look forward to looking out for that one as well. It's going to be more of a Q&A. So you all will be able to come in person to interact with us, engage with the board. And if you have any questions, again, any recommendations that you're actually wanting. We're still talking about year two. I feel like we had a great, successful year one, the upstart of the Mental Health Advisory Board, just getting a great committee together to kind of work together to push, as like Ms. Rich states, this vision that I actually had. So we're continuously to move forward. Year one, we created a great dynamics. We start engaging our citizens. We have the monthly webinars and monthly newsletters as well. So continue to check those out. And then we're now kind of moving towards year two and what that's going to look like. So we're going to kick that off with our Q&A October 28th. And again, we would like for many of you to come out and join that Q&A. And again, engage with us in person and let us know what you're looking for and what you actually want so we can put those things up for our year two. But we're looking forward to, starting groups and things of that nature. As Ms. Ritz will definitely be leading one of those because she absolutely enjoy groups. So definitely come in, join us, and let us know what you're actually needing. We also have a survey that goes out to the citizens as well on the Facebook page. So please take part in that. That's also your way to communicate with us and let us know what you're actually needing from us as well. So again, as always, thank you all for joining. I will see you all next month for the next webinar. And again, if you need us in between time, we're always available to you. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the week.
Good night, you all. Thank you for
Good night.
joining. Bye-bye.